Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to turning your passion for quilting into a profitable side hustle.
I'm Tori from the Quilt Patch by Tori.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts. And together, we're your co-hosts on this exciting journey of creativity, entrepreneurship, and all things quilting.
We're here to help you navigate the world of quilt pattern design, course creation, digital marketing, and running an online quilt business. We've been through the ups and downs ourselves, so we know what it takes to make money from your favorite hobby.
That's right, Tori. We're going to share our experiences on how we've grown our businesses while balancing family with other paying work responsibilities. It's not always easy, but it's definitely possible. Hello again. It's so wonderful to be back here on another episode of Quilting on the Side, and we're excited to introduce you to our friend Kris from Sew the Distance. So nice to have you here, Kris.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to this. This is awesome.
Of course. And I found Kris on YouTube, so I can't wait to hear all about her quilters of YouTube stories. So why don't you tell us how you got started quilting and then jumping into YouTube and kind of your journey so far?
Okay, so I started quilting about almost 30 years ago now, when my youngest son was born, and I wanted to make a quilt like a lot of people for their baby, and that's where I started. Before that, I was sewing like home decor. I'd sewn my oldest son's like pajama bottoms, stuff like that. So I knew my way around a sewing machine somewhat, and then I ended up jumping into quilting. I always wanted to learn to quilt, and I went to a quilt guild, and that's how I learned. I had never made a quilt before and joined the quilt guild, and I highly recommend that because they will help you. And that's how I got started. And then the other part was YouTube, right?
Well, kind of the evolution. How did quilting go from just your hobby into this new business venture?
Well, I've always loved YouTube videos on quilting, and I think I've been following Missouri Star from day one, I think, early on. So that was the inspiration. I really loved Karen Brown's videos. She was somebody who inspired me too. And when I left the classroom teaching, I was a high school English teacher, and then I was an ESL teacher for a while. I left in 2020. We moved, like a lot of people during the pandemic, and I decided to give this a whirl, and that's where I started with YouTube. It was my son inspired. My son said, "Why don't you do it?" And I was nervous, and I jumped in and did it, and here I am.
Yeah. So you've been on YouTube for about 4 years. Had you done anything with quilting to make money before getting on YouTube, or was it just kind of this side hobby passion?
It was a side hobby passion. I didn't do much. Occasionally, I would teach a class in my quilt guild, but that wasn't like a paid thing. It was more of a volunteer thing. I did teach some after-school programs, again, through the school system on some sewing, basic sewing, but nothing that was like a business at all until now. And even when I started YouTube, I didn't really expect it to go anywhere like it has. So it's all been kind of a surprise to me. And it evolved pretty quickly. And then I realized, that this is really something I love to do. And it's something I think I can make a living at.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your business currently? Are you a long arm, or are you a pattern designer? Do you just teach? What do you do?
So I just released my first pattern in December, and I launched my website in August. So I'm just getting into the other aspects. Originally, even still currently, YouTube is my main source of income in this business. I just got monetized on Facebook, which was interesting. I didn't even know you could get monetized on Facebook. So that just happened yesterday. I just got the notification. And so I don't have a business background, so this has all been new to me. Your podcast, I've been binging it, and I'm learning so much that I didn't know. I was asked to be in the Scrap Summit with Nikki Hobbits, I think is her last name. The Ruffled Purse is her company. And that's all she does. She doesn't do YouTube. So branching out, I was like, oh, there's like a whole other world out there that I'm not tapping into yet, which I'd like to. So I don't know if that answered your question. I'm kind of all over the place with it, but originally I thought, YouTube would be it. And I'm learning that there's so much more.
There is a lot, but I do want to dive more into YouTube because you're our first guest who really has built a business around her YouTube channel. So can you talk us through some of your strategies early on? Because there's that initial monetization level, and that's always the goal, when you start out, is trying to reach those first milestones. So talk us through that early process and kind of your strategy on what kind of content you experimented with and what really landed with your audience.
So I started with focusing on what I knew, which were old quilts. So that was kind of my backbone, especially in the beginning. And it's still on my channel. I do lessons from an old quilt where I take old quilts from my collection. I have a lot of old quilts now. They just keep finding me. Oh my gosh, I have so many. But when I started, I had about 25. And I would take those old quilts and review them and talk about what we can learn as modern makers from the quilts that our ancestors made, that, the other quilters made in the past. And that really, I got like a very, I don't know. I don't want to use the word cult following, but that's what it feels like. It's like a very niche following, that they're just people that just love those videos. And there still are people that love those videos. But then I really wanted to branch into teaching because I missed teaching. I missed being in the classroom and I missed that experience. So then I slowly started adding some tutorials in there. Some of them were with old fabrics, some of them weren't. And then I just slowly, gradually went to more of a tutorial base, which tutorials now are my highest, most popular videos. And I do love making them. They're my favorites. They're a lot more work, but they're a favorite of mine. So that's how that happened. Yeah. I didn't look at analytics in the beginning because they're scary. Okay. And to be honest, they're scary and I didn't understand them. And I didn't want to know that people were leaving my videos at 3 minutes. I was like, it hurt my feelings. So it took a long time, probably a good year, before I realized that the only way to really know my audience is to look at the analytics and see who's watching and see who that person is that really likes to watch Sew the Distance. And once I did that, and really took the time to learn what everything meant and not take it personally. That's big. You cannot take it personally. You don't know what's going on in people's lives. Their dog could want to go out and they left your video because of that. You just don't know. Or you could just be boring. You don't know. But once you just kind of take it in and take it, away from yourself and just look at the numbers, that's when you can really learn what your audience wants. What are you saying that they are leaving the video? What phrases, are you leaving too many pauses? Whatever it might be. And where are they at in the world? Like, that's huge. If you know that most of your audience is in Texas, well, heck, I got to make sure that during, Texas football games, I'm posting because a lot of my audience is so looking at that stuff and being very smart about when and where I post and stuff like that. So really just diving into this. So if anybody's listening that's doing YouTube, dive into those analytics. Don't be afraid of them.
Did you have a coach, or who did you start following to kind of learn those ins and outs of the world of YouTube?
Well, as you know, the quilting world is very small. It seems like it's big, but as far as people as a business doing this, it's quite small. So you meet other YouTubers, like I did with you, Andi, and you meet, just other people and you learn from each other. But also YouTube, there's so many YouTube videos on how to do YouTube. That's big too. I followed a lot of like Nate Black and some of the other people that are really good at it. There are some that aren't, some that are, you know, in it and giving you pretty bad advice. So you need to be careful of that. But mostly watching YouTube videos, listening to other creators, talking to other creators, trying to figure it out, and, you know, just doing a lot of research yourself too. You know,
Yeah,
and
and
also
information's out there. So
yeah, it is. It's out there and it's free. And it's something I've bought a couple books. They're okay. The thing with YouTube is it changes so quickly. So you have to really stay on top of the analytics. And when you start to see something curious going on that you haven't seen before, you kind of like, whoa, why is this happening? And our audience changes too. So it's always evolving, you know, and just paying attention. So.
You had a fun collaboration, and I apologize, I don't even know how long ago it was, but with the So Yeah guys, their shop in Las Vegas.
It was so much fun.
Talk about that collaboration.
So they reached out to, that was so much fun. We had such a good time. I had such a good, I don't know, maybe they didn't have a good time, but I had a good time. They saw one of my videos, my $20 quilt video that I posted, which I almost didn't post, that's the way it always is. It was one of those videos. We were leaving for a cruise the next day, and I hadn't showered. I hadn't packed. I hadn't done anything. And I had this idea for a quilt. So I ran to Walmart and I got the stuff and I came back and I made the video. And if you look at it, my hair's all mess and greasy and I don't have any makeup on. And I really just threw it up because I knew I was going to be gone. We were gone for 10 days and I knew I wasn't going to have a video, and I really needed to get a video out. And it's so funny because those are the ones that just blow up. And they saw that one and they contacted me and said, hey, we want to work with you. They flew me out to Las Vegas. My husband and I both put us up in a hotel. They, you know, it was wonderful. They were so accommodating, so wonderful. And then we worked together for 3 days. It's hot in Las Vegas. It was in August. We were, yeah, if you watch the videos, I got my hair pulled back and I'm sweating and they're like, what? This is, it's 86 back here. And I'm like, but we had a great time. They were wonderful. They are wonderful. Nicest guys you ever wanted to meet. They are, I can't say enough good things about them. Just wonderful. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. And then we got stuck out there because there was a hurricane. So we ended up staying like 3 extra days and they were wonderful with that. They were just wonderful. Yeah. So.
Good.
I love the fact that you started with a niche and your own interest. So I just want to call back that for anybody who's thinking about starting YouTube, that you started with a niche and your own interest, and then you grew from there.
Yes. And it evolved from there. Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing is sometimes you got to make videos you don't necessarily get inspired by, but hopefully it's kind of a mix, you know, you know what the audience wants, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to say which ones, but you got to do it because they love it. But usually because I love quilting so much, once I get into it, I'm fine anyway. It all works out. But yeah, if you don't love it, I can't imagine doing it. It's a lot of work. And I can't imagine doing it with something you don't love. And I know there's plenty of people out there that make a living because they know it's a hot topic that everybody wants to see, you know, but eventually you're going to burn out then, I think. So.
Yeah. What other collaboration efforts have you done or are you doing now with your YouTube channel?
Well, I just got a notice 3 days ago that Missouri Star Quilt Company, they contacted me. So I'm collaborating with them, which was so exciting. I just got the box in the mail yesterday, I think. So they just sent me a whole bunch of goodies that I'm going to be working with and doing a video for. So that's really, I haven't even done this. You're the first to hear this, although I don't know when this airs. This is the first. So that's exciting. I was shocked that I got that invite. So I'm slowly getting, you know, the attention of other people in this community, which is nice. And it's a lot of fun. I always do a collab with Fallon from So Be a Quilt. She's probably my best. I've never met her in person, but she's definitely my best friend, my best YouTube creator, quilter friend. I don't know. We talk every day through text. and sometimes talk too, but she's great. So we usually do a collab once or twice a year, and we are hoping to have one up this spring. That's usually spring and fall we do them.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, there's just it's happening. Like it's so weird because I'm still I have a little bit of imposter syndrome, and it's an interesting career.
Yeah, I saw you on a roundup a few months ago, and it seemed like there were a lot of cotton cuts quilters. So is that a sponsored video, or is that just you enjoy their mystery quilts and like that process?
So they reached out in September. Actually, they reached out last year, and I said, no, I don't like mystery quilts. And I really should have remembered that I didn't like mystery quilts because I still don't like mystery. They're a great company. I have nothing bad to say about them. It's my personal taste. So they did reach out to me. They sent me the box of every month, and then each month you get a clue, and then you put this all together. I actually just posted, I think, clue 7 today. It's not for me. I don't love not knowing what I'm making, and that's what this is all about. You make a block a month, and you're like, what the heck is this? I don't even know how this is going to go together, and it makes me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah,
so I am not doing it again, but I did. I did it. Yeah. I have 3 more videos to go on it, and then God love anybody who loves to do that, because it gives me the most anxiety-ridden experience. I don't like it. I have I have like, I don't know, 20 blocks sitting here, and they're all weird. I have no idea how they go together, and it's really bothering.
So I'm a person that likes mystery quilts. So if you want to just, if they need someone else to do it, just, pencil my name in there.
It's not something for me. And I knew that. Going in. Even when I introduced that I was doing it, I said how much I don't like mystery quilts, and I really should have just known that I don't like it. So I did do it. They're wonderful. Great company. Anybody out there listening, it's not anything against the company. They're fantastic. They're accommodating. If there's a problem, they'll fix it. It's just not my taste. And I think you can kind of tell in the videos that I'm not enjoying it. So.
I like the fact that you're upfront and honest with it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah.
Early on, just like in the classroom, kids will see right through fakeness. They have a sixth sense for it, I think, so if you try to go in and act like you're in a good mood when you're really not and all that, the same is true with YouTube. It's like the great magnifier, if you have if you aren't enjoying it, I think people can tell and get that vibe from you. And I try to be this, I think I am. In the beginning, I didn't. I think I was putting on more of an act, a fake persona in the beginning. And then I learned quickly that I just needed to be myself. And that's the greatest compliment anybody can give me, is that when they meet me one-on-one, that I'm the exact same person that they see online, and like it or not. Because I'm sure there's people out there that are like, I cannot stand her. So that's fine.
Well, if people aren't familiar with cotton cuts, do you want to briefly describe their company model and, how they send out fabric and stuff?
Sure. So they have one of the back, they sell a lot of different things, a lot of different kits and stuff like that. And they also sell fabric, and it's a company. It's a good company. But one of their mainstays is this puzzle mystery quilt that goes on twice a year. And for 10 months, they always have a theme. I think it's Tree of Life is the one that's going on right now. I did Carnival. And then you pick a colorway, and then you can do it 2 different ways. You can either get them sent to you each month, and you get the pre-cut pieces of fabric, or you can get it all at once in one box. And because I was what do they call them?
Ambassador.
Thank you. The ambassador, they sent me the whole box of everything. And then you get emailed the clues every month. So it's not even like I can work ahead. So you get emailed the clues once a month. And then they have the ambassadors out there that have certain colorway. Like I have the funnel cake colorway in the small quilt. They have a small and large. Nobody else has that as an ambassador. So people can watch me make the small quilt if they're doing the small quilt too in that colorway and learn how to make it.
Yeah.
And but
So
they
even with the big box, all the pieces are pre-cut.
Yes, they are. Do you want to see it?
No, if you want to grab it, yeah.
Yeah, it's right here. Okay, so yeah, you get, this is the box, and it has
cardboard box,
just
branded.
It's kind of messy, but you can see this is, I taped this in here. This is like the dates and the colorway, and you get, I can't show too much of this, but this is the instructions. And then let me see when I haven't done yet. Clue 9, you can see all the pieces are pre-cut. Whoops.
That makes it so convenient to just grab and sew.
It does, yeah. So you do grab and sew, and but I mean, I also, part of the problem, this is my fault, is I decided that while I was doing it, I was going to make 2. I was going to do theirs, and then I was going to do a scrappy version, because I'm crazy sometimes. I don't think things through all the time, but so
it's the fabric fumes, they get to our head and make us. They
really do. So like this is, I don't know what month this is. I don't know. This is clue 6. So, here's like their pieces or whatever. And then of course I did a scrappy version of my colorway. And it just, I really didn't think this through.
Live and learn. Not everything works out, but
it is, and it'll be beautiful. Both of them will be beautiful, I'm sure, when they're done. But yeah, everything comes pre-cut. Everything's labeled. You do a little inventory in the beginning, make sure you have everything, and then it takes you step by step on how to put them together. So
is this
a cool idea?
Is this opportunity for do you get paid for this opportunity, or is it something for spreading the word about your business?
So you get the free kit. They don't, I think this Tree of Life one, the ambassadors are being paid, but I was not paid. I got a code so my viewers could get it at a discount, and I did get the quote kit for free. So that was kind of the payment.
Okay, so there's a little bit of give and take there.
I think they're doing a commission type based thing, I think I heard, but don't quote me on that. I'm not positive. And it is nice to get the quilt, and you do kind of move up in ranks, I believe. They'll give you preferences of colorways the longer you do it with them, and then you can maybe, because I'm doing a small, I think I had to prove myself a little bit, and then you can maybe move up to the large. But yeah, it's just, it's not, if I don't enjoy it, it's going to come through, and it's just not something I want to do. They did ask me back, but I declined.
Yeah. It's good to hear that they've got a compensation system. That's good to hear.
There's so many that don't. And even with Missouri Star, there's a compensation when they're doing I get a code, and then I get, I think, 15% of whatever sales come through that code, which is good, because we work hard. YouTubers work hard.
Yeah. So that's another aspect of online business, and with quilting, is that idea of affiliate sales, so that you can promote products you use, and hopefully, as as quilters and decent human beings, we are promoting things that we actually use and like, and are not just that the OxyClean guy on on the shopping channel, the promo person selling whatever random stuff comes across. But
I love that even though Kris isn't one who loves mystery quilts, she still finds fun and a process in sharing. So I think that's a great way to go about it, is even though you're not in love with, and I am the same way, I would not enjoy a mystery quilt because of exactly what you said. I want to know what I'm making. But I could see having fun with at least the videos and being upfront, like, this is driving me crazy. I have no idea what's going to happen with this, but this company is amazing, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing when I'm quilting it, but it's driving me crazy. I don't know what the end piece is.
Yeah, that's it. It is a great, and I want to love it. Okay. I feel the same way about batiks. I want to love them, and I know you love them, right, Andi?
Yeah, I'm all on board for the batiks, but and you have such a lovely autumn themed kind of vibe with a lot of your quilts and your scrappy projects. And that is so, northeast fall leaves changing colors, and that's just not me. So it takes all kinds in the quilt world.
It does, and I want to love those bright colors, and I have some Allison Glass, and I love, Tula Pink, and I have them, but I am drawn more. That's my comfort zone. Those earth tones,
Right.
and I think but I want to be that other quilter. I do reach out, and branch out a little bit, but batiks, I don't like the feel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and
That's
see,
not my thing. It's a texture.
right. I can get past the texture because I mean, I like sewing with the firmer pieces.
That's nice. Yeah.
So they do help there, but I'll take those bright jewel tones. That sells me in an instant.
Yeah, I love them. They're
Yeah.
beautiful, and your work's beautiful. But it seems like if I want to have a nice, comfortable video where I feel really confident, it's those earth tones that will be, or quilt, even if it's something I'm making. It's tough. I worked with that was another collab I did with Charisma Horton. I did. She contacted me, wanted me to make a quilt. She sent me the kit, the pattern, the whole thing. I looked over. I see it over here. I just bound it. It's bright and it's not. I'll grab it real quick. Something. Yeah. I feel like I'm getting off camera though a lot, but this might be worth seeing. And I did do a video, and you can see.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, Charisma is known for those bright colors. And
I don't particularly love working with solids. So this was completely out of my comfort zone. This I enjoyed more than the mystery quilt. This is going to my son. It has the minky on the back or whatever, the cuddle.
Ooh, nice.
It's so soft. It's wonderful. I just got it back from the long armor, and I like it. I'll probably I made her patterns in other colorways, and I love her patterns are great, by the way, but I don't know that I'll ever make a bright quilt like that again. But I want to love that. I want to love those colors because I feel like that suits me a little bit more. But
I think that's important for our listeners to hear, that you can stick with what you're comfortable with and still be successful, because there are quilters out there that love all kinds of different quilting techniques, styles, palettes. So stick with what you love.
And scrap quilting is definitely my love. I love taking a pile of scraps and figuring out what I can do with them too. And that's, I know, something that people really get intimidated by, and that's something I am kind of drawn to.
Yeah. I find that this coming year, that is a big topic of conversation, is using what you have, figuring out how to use scraps. And I see that coming up a lot.
It's a sustainability thing, this zero waste movement, which is great. Using, even quilts that are fabrics from thrift shops, stuff like that. That's really big. And keeping a close eye on those trends is part of the analytics. So if anybody's thinking about doing a YouTube business, it's figuring out what's coming up, what people want. And even though they may say they want one thing, the analytics will tell you the truth on whether they want it or not, because that's really, the numbers aren't going to lie to you. Because people will say they'll want, scrap quilts or small projects, and then it's right now it's precuts. Everybody loves precuts, even though they say they don't. That's where we're seeing, where you're seeing the trend right now, but next week it could change.
Yeah. And
scrap quilts too.
Like you were saying with watching those trends, because I had a one specific video that was kind of trendy, and it was my moneymaker for almost over a year. And when that lifespan runs out, man, that hits hard. So.
Yeah, so you don't, with a YouTube business, you can't really bank on, at least in quilting. There's other niches that you can bank on and say, okay, yeah, this is always going to be a banger, is what we call it. In the business, it's like, it's always going to be a banger. It's always going to be trending. But in quilting, we have so many ups. And then there's things that, I could have made the bomb that all of a sudden start picking up, and they're like, what the heck is this going on? So you sometimes there's surprises and you scratch your head, but
Yeah.
knowing what to tag your videos, tags are so important. Even though there's people out there that'll say it's not important, it is important. And a good, title and descriptions. My goodness, I go out, I watch some YouTubers and they just don't even fill in their description, and that's so important. And the analytics are analyzing what you're saying, what it says in your videos, the words in your videos, the words in your description, your titles, your tags. All of that has to mesh up in a very good way. It can't be fake, so you have to be pretty authentic with it, and that's what's going to drive the video when all that matches. So
I hear a lot of that. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I know. I think I spoke over you.
No, you're fine. So I just wanted to point out that Pinterest works in a very similar way. So I feel like if you're able to focus, if you're really good with Pinterest, YouTube might be another way to kind of incorporate some core content into your marketing, or vice versa, where you can take clips. Now they can do video on Pinterest, but clips or images from YouTube and convert them and use a similar description and keywords for Pinterest and kind of use both.
See, I'm just getting into Pinterest right now. I have one pin that's like at 17,000 views, and then the rest are like 60. Okay, so I'm just doing it. In fact, it's on my daily to-do list is every day to put up a pin. But what I don't care with Pinterest is they don't give you a lot of tags. They're very limited with what tags you can use. So that's kind of stumping me right now, but I am learning it. So that's interesting that you say that. Now I need to kind of go back and reassess my Pinterest game a little bit.
So now that we're diving into some of those other social media platforms, you had mentioned being on Facebook. Where have you branched out now that you've got, YouTube as your solid core? What is your plan to expand your empire?
I don't know. I listened to your goal set. I've listened to it twice, your goal setting podcast, because I'm like, I need to do this. I feel like my day gets away from me so quickly, and there's so much to do. The website taking off was really great. I have a very solid following. I think I want to say I have 1,500 subscribers, which I think is pretty good since August. And people are commenting and they're emailing me through that and all that stuff. So that's good. So that those are my two that I'm focused on right now. And then I'm just branching into Pinterest. Facebook, something I did maybe, I don't know, a year ago, I think, is I was like, who is my person? Who is my, if I can give her a face, she's 65 to 70 years old. She's, I figured out when she was born, what she would have taken in school, I know my person, and my person loves Facebook. So that was my next step, because as much as people don't, it's one of those things, that some people hate it, but my person, her name's Phyllis. Phyllis loves Facebook, loves it. So that's where I went next. Yeah.
I love your biography and that you named her. That's something that I teach in the DMMC too, is to create a biography and name your person. It's so much easier to talk to a person, even if you've kind of created them, than it is to just talk and try to figure out what to say. But if you can visualize your customer and really get to know them, then you know exactly what you said. You know where they're showing up, you know where they like to be, you know how they'll talk, you know their background, so you can speak to that background and bring in some of those experiences, and it makes it so much easier to write captions and to make videos and to find your people.
That's it. It's like if I have a video that bombs, I'll even say to my husband, "Oh, Phyllis hated this." Or, I'm just like, because she's, to me, the person, and my mom's of that age group. She's a little bit older than Phyllis, but she's in that age group, so I'll ask her questions, even though she's not a quilter. I'll ask her questions about home ec and when, just different things to just kind of get a grip on that persona and to know who that person really is. And as that changes, right now, one of my goals is to reach out to a younger market, because we are getting so many young people coming into quilting. So I'm trying to also pivot while keeping Phyllis in mind. I'm talking with my hands and they're not on the screen, but they're over here. keeping Phyllis in mind, but also trying to reach out. I have to do it, figure out who my other person is, give her a name. And it doesn't mean that I'm not reaching the men that are quilters, because we have tons of men that are quilters that are coming into it, or, the younger people. But my primary focus is Phyllis. And I think that's important just for me, for visualizing what I'm making. And as I'm making and thinking of her is how I can focus on, what I need to create and what I need to
that leads me to think and ask you, do you have a team that helps you behind the scenes or any help at all?
When I was at we handed stuff off to quilters to sew us. They had an editor, they had everything. No, it's me. I mean, my husband helps a lot, but it's me. It's me. So it's a busy day. What started off as what I thought was a part-time job, and maybe even a few hours a week, is quickly morphed into this 14-hour day job that doesn't seem to end, and today I was very frustrated, so you have those moments that you're like, this is crazy. I try to still respond to every comment. I feel like if they took the time to give me a comment, I'm going to respond to it. It's getting increasingly harder and harder to do that. But I am still doing that. That takes sometimes a couple hours a day, just to respond. But I feel like if they're out there, they deserve a response of some sort. But that might be one of the first things I outsource, is responding to comments.
Yeah. So if we have anyone in the quilting world that would like to or is able to help with VA work.
It's nice, but we have to give, so YouTube needs to step up here, because I have to give them full access to respond to comments. And I'm not thrilled about that. Not because I don't try, like I could vet somebody and stuff, but I don't want something accidentally to happen too. You know what I mean? So that's something that YouTube on the administration, when we give administrative rights to people, they need to kind of step up at that, because I think it's important to respond to comments. Super important. If you're doing YouTube, super important. Engagement is important. And speaking of engagement, I'm going to go off on a little tangent. They took away the thumbs down thing, but we can still see it as creators. If you get a couple thumbs down, YouTube doesn't care. It's engagement. So don't let that bother you. Okay. Cause just say, joke's on you. It's engagement. That's what they want. They want engagement. So responding to comments is super important. Keeping comments coming in your videos, giving prompts for them to respond to is very important, because that's going to create people to give comments. Phyllis loves to give her opinion. She does, and it's great. And usually Phyllis is very knowledgeable and she knows stuff. So it's really wonderful that she gives her opinion or she tells you different things. So it creates a really great community.
Yeah. Yeah, that is neat.
And I think I got off topic, but
no, we love all those tidbits. So did Phyllis ask for patterns, or how did you move from your YouTube education tutorial aspect into pattern writing?
Well, I can tell you the truth, or I can tell you my husband. This came to my notes. So I wanted Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. I've wanted it for a long time, and finally, I broke my. I was like, we gotta get this. This is gonna be great. And then we got it, and it's hard. I mean, there's a learning curve there. So my husband he's the tech guy, and he took it upon himself, and he's like, we have to write a pattern now. So I can say in the course of, 4 weeks, we put together, I had an idea for a pattern, but I'm like, and then about 4 weeks it took, and he took the reins on that. And then it was every night. It was like, have you worked on the pattern? Have you worked on the pattern? It's before. So, but I hated working on it because I didn't understand Illustrator. And, anytime you don't know something, it's uncomfortable. And as a teacher, I know it's uncomfortable. I know how people learn. I know if you push through, you'll get to the other side. And I am slowly getting to the other side, but I still get frustrated with it. It's touchy. Like you mess up, and then before you know it, you've had 16 errors and you got to undo, and you don't even know what you did. So I don't know. Do you guys use Illustrator?
I have used it a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience with it, Tori?
A very little. I played with it a bit to see if it was something I wanted to dive into when it came to when I made the decision between EQ8 and that, and I went with EQ8.
I have
Yeah.
EQ8 too, and I like that. And maybe I need to be better. I never go to that, and I need to. I need to start being better at that. But
Well, I think if you're doing straight piecing, EQ8 is very handy, especially to start with. But if you're doing things like applique or anything with more free flowing designs, fabric design, anything like that, I think Adobe Illustrator is probably a better way to go. It just kind of depends, I think, on the kind of style you're going to want to create.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I will say that I'm very dependent on EQ8 for writing my patterns and my designs. But there are things like Tori said where Illustrator is more useful. And I took a 1-day class from Daisy Ochtenberg, I think is her last name. She's Warm Folk. She's an American expat. She lives in, I'm going to mess it up, Norway,
oh cool.
Denmark, somewhere overseas. And but she comes to the United States to teach at a lot of the big shows. And so I was able to take a 1-day Illustrator class from her, and it was fabulous. And she also has it online. So I will make sure to put a link to that
that'd be
course
great.
because it was really good. And then I took a longer course from another guru in the quilting space, but I didn't finish that course because it was so intense and it's hard to do
Okay.
when you're trying to balance the rest of your life. But
Right.
being able to go to a 1-day immersive class gave me the confidence to start with it. So that was good.
I would love that. I really think I do need some sort of class. I mean, I play with it, and I understand it, and we did write the pattern, and we've been writing, free downloadables too on it, stuff like that. So for the pattern, and I don't know if I did this right, I've never released a pattern. I did have a few people test it. I probably should have had more testings, but I did a block. So I had and it's still on my website. I have a free download of just the block. It's a Christmas present block. And then the full pattern, because I felt like I needed to give people a taste of what, especially my first pattern. But I've had like 480 downloads of that pattern, and then I have like 10 sales of the big pattern. So I don't know if that was a mistake, but live and learn. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Kris, Tori, before we get into our
I
next
would love to
segment?
hear what you might suggest for somebody first wanting to start YouTube tech-wise. So what kind
Okay.
of tech could they have readily available to start a YouTube channel?
Well, the cell phones are phenomenal now. When I started, they weren't nearly as, I don't know what the word I want, advanced, I guess, with being able to film in 4K and stuff like that. YouTube, actually, I don't even know if the cell phones do that yet, but YouTube loves 4K. It loves the high quality videos. So the higher quality, the better chances you are that YouTube's going to put that out there. That's another little kind of, I don't want to say insider secret, but it is true. We're seeing that more and more. I just like, I don't know, 3 months ago, upgraded to good cameras. I was using GoPros until 3 months ago. So, and they were old GoPros, so they weren't anything high tech. And then I just got the camera. I have an overhead camera and I have a front facing, and they were a little pricey, but at this point I'm in it to win it here. So it's like you can spend a little bit more money on audio, but you really can get started with your camera. I know plenty of YouTubers that have started and are still using, or not camera, their phone. You can do it because the audio is good. The self-correcting of color is great. You don't need any special lights. So it's a very low cost entry into YouTube, and then you'll learn from there what works well. Many people use their an iPad too, and they'll put it on like a baking grate, like to for cookies. and they'll just set that up on chains and put it on top and for overhead shots. I mean, you can get really creative, and you go on Pinterest, you can see all these, and you can see low budget everything on even YouTube on how to make videos. So you don't need a lot of special stuff.
I'm over here looking at my ceiling.
Nice, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
So tech wise, I would just say that. And then editing software, I was lucky enough, I had a Mac already. So iMovie was my first editing experience. And iMovie was fantastic. And then every time I have to get into into anything new technical, it's a forced entry for me. So my husband bought me for Christmas last year Final Cut Pro. I hated it. And he nagged me, you doing it? I'm like, no, I'm still, but now I love it. Final Cut Pro is the way to go if you can afford it. But iMovie's free, and there's a bunch of free, I think, app editing apps too if you don't have a Mac.
Yeah.
So.
I always recommend CapCut. Is a free app on your, especially if you're filming a lot on your phone. Okay. You can do a lot with CapCut, and they do have a desktop version, and they also have an upgrade to a Pro. But I'm a PC gal, and I found Wondershare Filmora is the editing software I use. But once you learn the kind of how to edit on a timeline with video and audio tracks, you can maneuver between platforms pretty easily.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I could, now that I've done Final Cut Pro, I could easily go into some other ones. But, I think Premiere is the other one that I probably could integrate into. But once you learn it, you do get really good at it. Cutting out the ums. I cut out almost all my ands and so's. I have this weird, I think that's the other hurdle people need to get over, is seeing themselves on camera. Now, as a teacher and teaching virtually during the pandemic, I learned real quick to get over that because I had to do it. And that was probably a blessing because I didn't have as much of a hurdle. But people aren't going to really notice if you're wearing the same shirt in every video. They just aren't. You think they are, but they aren't. But that's another little tip. I mean, there's a bunch of little tips that I learned early on when I was making videos. I would change my shirt or put my hair up or change my style just for editing purposes because I knew that this clip went with this video, and that helped me stay organized. So that's another tip. But people don't care. They want to hear the content. Right. At least in quilting. I don't know about other ones, but in quilting, they want the content. I'm blind in my left eye, so I get comments every now and then because that one kind of isn't straight. So I will get comments every now and then because people can be really nasty in the comments. And, but other than that, nobody really cares what I look like. I don't think at least.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing. People do get nasty in comments, and there's a delete button for a reason. Delete block. Not worth your time, not worth your energy. And if you leave it up there and try to respond, it's just giving them more energy, and it's going to keep you up at night for that one comment. You could have 100 wonderful comments, and you get that one nasty comment. Just get it out of your life. Cut it out right away, and don't even look back.
That's really good advice. The other tip for people getting into YouTube is that they have you can flag words, and so like if you didn't want, you could flag a comment that had the word I in it, and you wouldn't even see it because and those are personal to every channel. So
that is nice. You can, flag all the bad words, and you can flag, and it doesn't mean it's gone. It just means that it'll be up for review. So it'll come up in your comments as needing to be reviewed, which I always forget to check. I have to always check those reviewed ones because sometimes you'll have something flagged and somebody says it innocently enough, or sometimes YouTube will take something and think it's not good, and it is. So then you can decide whether it gets posted or not. But delete block's your best friend with those nasty comments. And once people, I think that you get a group, there's just a group of people out there that are, and I think some of them are quilters, and once they're gone, you kind of like, okay. And if they're not getting a rise out of you,
Yeah.
sometimes they back off. But
I found the
Sure.
same thing with Facebook ads.
yeah,
Delete, block,
Yeah.
delete, block.
delete, block. Yeah, it's your best friend, and don't leave it up there so you're constantly reading it. Don't take a screenshot. Don't just get it out of your life, and then that's the best. And it's hurtful. I mean, there's things that people say that are very hurtful, and but in reality, it just doesn't. You have to have kind of thick skin.
Yeah.
No.
But like you said, life's too short to be dwelling on those negative things. We all want our internet space to be happy. So let's get back to the fun stuff about fabric and quilting. So
exactly, and it's and people have bad days too. So sometimes I don't necessarily block, but I do use the delete.
And I also think it's the community and the atmosphere that you have built. If you set the expectation and you put that energy out in the world that we're going to be positive in this space, I think it attracts those positive people, and the audience will police the comments. I had that happen once where somebody was kind of getting nitpicky and negative, and everybody in the comments was just, oh no, keep going, you're fine. So
no, I get that too. That you start to get a group of people around you, that really are big fans, and they or I don't even want to say that, because that fan sounds so like Taylor Swifty or something. I don't know. They're not they're followers. The followers just sounds creepy. So I don't know what to even call them. Friends, quilting friends.
Community, maybe?
Community is a great word. Community is a great word. So you do get a community that really will stick up for you and forgive you when you make a mistake. And, I try to just say, hey, I messed up. I mean, I do, so, and it's different when people call you out for something. They can do it in a nice way, and it can be, very constructive. And I'm grateful for that too, but people are just sometimes in bed. Phyllis gets in, she gets moved.
Yeah.
And I love Phyllis. I know it sounds like I'm just
no,
stereotyping my community, but it really does help me make better videos and bring it to life. And Phyllis is an old neighbor I had, so it's not even just somebody. She kind of, once I started building out her characteristics, I'm like, this is my old neighbor Phyllis. So,
good. Well, let's get into our rapid fire questions, and we're starting off with a spin on favorite colors and color theory. But what color do you struggle to include in your quilts?
Other than the brights we talked about. No, the color I struggle with the most is probably going to be surprising, because it's red. Because there are so many different tones and shades and everything else of red. We got cool, warm, and everything in between. So I struggle with red the most. I mean, they're all kind of tough in that aspect. I mean, sometimes you just have to get the right colorway. Blues, same thing. There's such a spectrum from turquoise to navy and everything in between. But red for me is the hardest.
Okay.
Our next question is yardage or precuts? Which one do you prefer?
I want to love precuts more than I do. I do love precuts, and I think that they're really great. I just feel like they're never the size they say they are. And you never know whether you got to go from the pinked or the in or the, and that's one thing with batiks that you don't have to worry about because they're not pink. But I do want to love them more than I do. But yardage all the way. I mean, you get so much more bang for your buck, even though it doesn't seem it. You really do.
I can see that for a scrappy quilter, especially because you love to use the extras and the scraps and all the bits in between.
Little bits in between. I have a lot of scraps. So maybe that's why the yardage is why I go. But yardage is definitely, it's more of a buy. You get definitely more options.
Yeah.
So.
And what is your favorite notion?
I have a few, but one of my favorites is the Soline pencil. Do I have it here? I do. This thing? Have you seen this? And it has 3 different color tips. Whoops, let me get it in camera. So that's pink, and you turn it, and that's white, and then that's regular lead. Isn't that cool? Can you
I
see
haven't
it?
seen it with the multicolors. It reminds me of all of our favorite, pens from the
I have
80s,
that
the
too.
4-color.
I use those too. Those are my favorite pens. And I have like 6 or 7 laying around here somewhere. But yeah, it is great because it's all in one. You can use it onto all fabrics. So this is probably my favorite, but I have so many. I love this is my new favorite, this Easy Press pen. Have you seen these?
Oh,
These
no,
are
I haven't seen
great.
that one either.
You get they're kind of spendy, but you get like this acorn
Oh,
refillable.
okay.
It's basically a liquid starch, but you put
Okay.
this on your seams. I use that all the time. I go all over the place. I love a good Notion. I have a little mini vac that I run to clean my mats and stuff. I love that. So
So many
I'm
great
sucking
tips
for 'em.
and suggestions.
There's some, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love quilting, and I love buying notions. I probably, and I get very frustrated when I buy a notion that I hate that I got, and I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
But
Our next one is, what is the most rewarding part of your business?
meeting the great people that I have, by far, between fellow creators, this is how Andi and I met, this is how I ended up here, to the community. I have a few people who even were like pen pals. This community is so wonderful, and they have the biggest heart. They send me stuff to my mailbox. Like, they just send me stuff. Just the sweetest things, and cards and notes and support. And if you're having a bad day, they're just wonderful. The community's wonderful, and the creators are wonderful. People I've never met before, I am such good friends with. I know so much, Fallon and I, just really good friends. And I have other friends too, Becca from So Becca, Ian, there's, I'm trying to think, and I'm drawing a blank, and these poor people are going to be like, why didn't you shout me out? There are so many wonderful creators out there that, just great people. Yeah.
Yeah, the quilting community is wonderful. Having a little fun. How many quilts are in the room with you right now?
Oh boy, with my antique quilts, do I have to count?
Are they all in a cabinet right there?
They're right behind me. Yeah, right here. I have, oh my goodness.
Okay, let's narrow it down. What's on display?
I actually only have one on display right now, but I do have the bars up that I usually put quilts on. I probably have 20 quilts, 25 quilts in this room alone, just stacked. Yeah. So
Fun.
And last question we've got for you. Now, this can be a person in the quilt industry or outside of it, so it can be anyone. But the question is, who is inspiring you right now?
Right now, so I'm reading, and I don't know who the author is, but Atomic Habits. Have you read that? That's super inspiring and super helpful. And this is my second time reading it, so it's just a great book. I love Alison Glass. I like her YouTube. Who else? Tim Natar is another favorite of mine. I'm trying to think who else. I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I love The Quilting Life, and I think it's Sherry McConnell. Is that her name? I think I listen to her. I listen to you guys. Yeah, like I said, your goal setting. If anybody out there in the business where you got to listen to that and watch and whatever, because it was really, really good. Lots of great tips.
Thank
on
you.
It, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Kris, this has been a wonderful conversation. We thank you again for sharing your journey with us, and we just wish you all the best as you expand from YouTube to patterns to wherever you're going next. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure. I'm so flattered to have been invited. And again, it's a testimony to this quilting community and how wonderful everybody is. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Before you go, let everyone know where to find you one more time so they've got it all in one spot.
Sure. It's Sew the Distance, SEW the Distance. And I'm everywhere on all the platforms under that domain name. That's everywhere. So if you type it in, you're going to find all kinds of stuff. I have Instagram, all of them, all the socials. So Instagram, I think I even have Twitter, but I'm not active on that. But I have them all, so you can find me there.
Okay, well, that's great. We will definitely look for the next. I'm excited to see the puzzle quilt come together, and your lessons from an old quilt series has been very educational, and I love seeing what you come up with.
Thank you so much.
All right. I am so glad you got to meet Kris. I think she is just such a fun person, and I'm so thrilled that our connection from YouTube has continued and we were able to have her as a guest on the podcast. What was your biggest takeaway, Tori?
I love how she is so authentic and she embraces being herself. She launched her YouTube, as she talked about, with a very niche topic on something that she was interested in. And then she grew it based off what she was interested in. And when she got a little bit bigger, that's when she dived into more of the how do I make this bigger part of it. But I love the way that she talked about showing up on camera and kind of getting over yourself when you're looking, because I think that's something everyone has to go through, where they just have to kind of get over looking at themselves on camera. I definitely had to. And then she just encouraged us to show up as is. And I know that's something that we've talked about as well on our podcast is, I came in tonight with messed up hair straight from bedtime. I flew in the seat, turned on the camera, was like, hello, everybody. But showing up authentically and the best way you can in the moment and just getting started and being yourself. I loved that from her, that energy from her. Everything that she talked about really kind of revolved around just being authentically yourself. And she talked about the mystery quilt. We talked about a lot with Kris, but even then you can tell that she's keeping it authentic, where she didn't really enjoy the mystery quilt, the mystery part of the mystery quilt, but she did enjoy the quilting process. So things like that. So that was probably my biggest takeaway. So what was your biggest takeaway, Andi?
Well, I love getting all her tips for YouTube and growing. And the thing that stood out for me when she was sharing some of those tips is that you really have to get over your fear of the numbers and not take those analytics personally, because it can feel very discouraging when you're looking at numbers and maybe they're not growing as fast, or maybe you've got those negative comments, as she said, and you do kind of have to put on your shield and say, okay, this is just data. This is just a snapshot, and tomorrow's going to be completely different. So it's very important to look at your numbers. And so having a healthy attitude when you do that was my biggest takeaway. And just, I loved how much she was sharing. So I hope people were taking notes. And as she said, engagement is really important. So we'd love people to hit that like button and leave a review for our podcast here so that we can keep reaching more people and have lots of fun guests on, like Kris from Sew the Distance. What a great discussion. If you enjoyed this episode of Quilting on the Side, please leave us a review on whichever platform you're listening. It can be iTunes, Spotify, or even our YouTube channel.
And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat. Until then, remember to have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side.